Now, as you know, we are in the network session 03 about the showcase of the initiative of the monk seal conservation. And I will give a little bit introduction about the species. Yes. So yes, I should remember you that I'm coordinator this session, and for whom that doesn't know me, I'm Lobna BEN NAKHLA, program officer at SPARAC, which is the Special Protected Area Regional Activity Center. So the biodiversity component acting under the Barcelona Convention. And we propose as a rapporteur Mr. Zafer KIZILKAYA. Sorry if I don't, from Turkey. So just a small talk about the species, and I will do it in French. So, le phoque moine de la Méditerranée, qui est le Monachus monachus, est la seule espèce de pinnipèdes qui vivent jusqu'à maintenant en Méditerranée. Autrefois, donc, elle existait dans l'ensemble de bassins, mais d'après les dernières évaluations et études, l'espèce est réduite à plus ou moins 700 individus, et j'espère qu'à travers les projets concours, on va mettre à jour ce nombre. Et ce nombre, déjà, il est dans des zones éloignées où peu de perturbations ont eu lieu, tel le cas en Méditerranée orientale, donc Chypre, Grèce, Turquie, et sur la côte nord-ouest de l'Afrique, Cap Blanc, archipel de Madère, Mauritanie, Maroc, où la même espèce est plus ou moins bien restaurée. Donc, dernièrement, on a pu enregistrer des observations de l'espèce dans des zones aussi éloignées de son aire de répartition connue, déjà donc mentionnée dans le premier paragraphe. Et pour nous, c'est considéré comme un événement extraordinaire pour cette espèce, décrite principalement comme côtière et sédentaire. Du coup, donc, on voit qu'il est nécessaire d'échanger les expériences avec les organisations compétentes, c'est-à-dire les organisations qui sont déjà expérimentées pour le monitoring de cette espèce, et faire avec les liens pour renforcer les capacités pour les pays qui viennent d'avoir l'apparition de cette espèce. Et bien sûr, ça devrait être fait sur la base d'un protocole standardisé et harmonisé. Et là, j'aimerais bien partager avec vous que dans le cadre de la Convention de Barcelone, tout un processus a été lancé depuis 2008 qui est l'approche écosystémique et un programme d'évaluation et de monitoring, l'IMAP, où des indicateurs ont été identifiés et où le manque est parmi les mammifères marins retenus, et où aussi des protocoles standardisés ont été développés. Et là, les nouveaux projets vont être une opportunité pour mettre en œuvre ces protocoles. Voilà, donc, I switch in English. So maybe after the presentation, we will discuss if this recommendation from the roadmap are okay with our session, and how we could improve this recommendation, or it will be okay for us. So the agenda of our session will be like this. So as the first case study, we will have a presentation about the environmental DNA analysis for the monk seal detection action. So this is an innovative methodology that will be presented by Mr. Emanuele COPPOLA and Mrs. Elena VALSECCHI, if I'm right. Good. The second case study will be about also innovative monk seal conservation and monitoring method in Kokova Bay, Turkey, to be done by Mr. Zafer. We have with us also Mrs. Auriane PERTUISOT. She will share with us the Monk Seal Alliance, this new initiative acting in the Mediterranean region and supporting the work and some initiative and project. And and myself also, I will share with you a new project that will be funded by the Monk Seal Alliance. After all this presentation, we will have some discussion, as I said, about the recommendation to be proposed to the MPA roadmap. So I invite Emanuele and Elena for the first case study.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank all the SPARAC team for inviting me here. It is really a great honor and a privilege to be here. And I must say that I already had the chance to meet a lot of fantastic people that are really committed to wildlife conservation. And so I'm happy for this. I would like, first of all, to introduce myself so you will know better who I am and why I'm here. I am Emanuele COPPOLA. I am a civil engineer, but I dedicated my life in wildlife documentation, meaning I was a photographer first and a filmmaker since 1985. I met the first seal dating back in 1989. And since then, I met a lot of people that are also engaged in wildlife studies. I wrote the list because I don't want to miss anybody and I want also to lose too much time. So I met Ali Kipano first in the Ionian Islands. There is a reason why I want to list all these people. So even if you don't know them. I met Panos Dendrinos. At the time he was working for the Hellenic Society for the Protection, for the Study and the Protection of monk seal. Now the association is called MOM. And of course, I met him in the Sporades. I met Harun Guçklusoy, who is a very good scientist, and I met him when he was very young. He was still a student in Foça, Izmir. I met Ali Cemal Kuchu, who is a professor in Mersin University. So when I met him, I had a lot of things to learn from him because he was a professor at that time. And it was me that was a kind of student, being able to stay with him, following his work there. And I don't want to miss anybody. So I met Jasna Antolovic, a biologist in Croatia. I met her in the southern part of Croatia, Komica and Palagrusa. And then I met Martina Herbat. She's also here. I don't know if she's here now. No? Okay. In Istria. There was a good reason for me to be in Istria, to spend almost 10 years in Istria. Because a seal was there, and I was there to look at the seal and see what's going on there. And at the end, let's see if there are some other people. Okay, yes, I also met two persons from Italy, Giulia Mo and Luigi Bundone. Giulia Mo is from ISPRA, and Luigi Bundone is a PhD from Venice University. But those people, I met them when they were students, not still graduate, and they actually, I'm thankful because they worked for me as a collaborator. They gave a great help in my work done in Turkey at the time, and also in Istria. This regards specifically Luigi Bundone. Then they graduated and they made their own choices and their own work. And the reason why I'm listing all this, because I believe, and this will be the conclusion of our presentation, that there is an urgent need to put all the energies together and to work together for the same objective, that is monk seal protection for the future. Okay, there is some people that I miss. Daniel Sebrian in Zakynthos and Pablo Fernandez de la Rinoa. in this case, I didn't go to the Mauritania because this is his field work, but he came to visit me while I was working in Istria. So I met him personally. Okay, since then, I also met, I calculated that I met in my quite long career, almost 200 seals. So is that amazing? I mean, knowing that the total population is 700, it is true that my long career lasts more than 30 years, but even so, it is quite astonishing. And I dedicate myself specifically to try to know what's really going on in areas where seals is not considered to be present. Because I had ideas and signs that this was not the case. And at the end, what happened? So this I must read because the good news, I mean, everybody knows because it is now shared, the information that the seals are apparently recovering. So they are going back to pristine places where they were considered to be completely extinct. And it is for sure that the seal were killed in big numbers at the beginning of the centuries. We don't have records. I mean, when I say we, I mean Italy. But for example, the Spain did a very interesting work trying to collect all this data from the old times because it's 20s, 30s, 50s. And you can, I mean, you can't imagine what is this, the mass killings. I mean, single killings, because the seals were living in small family groups. So the killings was basically big males or females, pregnant females. So, and of course, this was a big loss because for a species that has a high pup mortality, I mean, losing a pup is not a big problem. But when you lose an adult, established adult male or female, then you have a gap in the population. And this happens so many times that is for sure it was completely, what is in English, wiped off. Anyway, it was completely clear, all the central and occidental Mediterranean. But from the stronghold in the Western Mediterranean, in the Eastern Mediterranean, now we see a slow recovery. And actually, we don't know how fast or slow this recovery is. And the good news is now that I recently came across this lady that you see behind me, Professor Elena VALSECCHI, and from Milano Bicocca University, and she arrived as a gift that I expected for so long, because her idea is the key solution to all my most ambitious expectations. Okay, so I will leave the word to her, the microphone to her, so she will explain. And then we will be back when we will talk about what is really going to do with the application, okay?
Okay, well, sorry, we are Italians, we always exceed. Well, just a little introduction. Well, thank you very much for the good introduction. And I actually have to thank Emanuele as well, because he was the only one trusting my idea, not thinking that I was completely crazy, thinking that we could actually track monk seals without even seeing them. And so let's start, and I will go when we only have 10 minutes. Well, they were 10 minutes, so I don't know how many minutes we have left. So let's go quickly through this presentation, and then by all means, if you have any question, we could go into details. So today we will tell you the story of what kept us busy in the last couple of years. So the idea of using environmental DNA for the study of the monk seals. So what is environmental DNA? Environmental DNA, very briefly, is a complex mixture of genomic DNA from different organisms as a result of their interaction with the surrounding environment. So they keep on losing some traces of their DNA. But the news is that now we are able to extract, collect, extract, and analyze this DNA. Of course, the DNA, it won't be in the water for a long time, which is somehow a good news as well, because that means that whatever you find in the water, it's actually reflecting what is there. So we have both biotics and abiotics factors, which will affect the duration of this signal in the water. But as I said, the good news is that not by chance we are starting to use eDNA now. It's because before we didn't have the tools, the molecular tools, to perceive such a small amount of genetic material. So this seems very magic. And so I immediately saw the opportunity of using this tool for the study of rare and elusive species, such as the Mediterranean monk seal. So why developing molecular assays specific for the monk seals detection? Well, because we want to answer to the following question, which is, are there seals around? So, and this is the question that can be answered by the eDNA analysis. So you might say, yes, I can see some traces of the monk seals eDNA, or not, there is no trace. Okay, and you can do this without relying on visual observation. So how does it work? On the molecular point of view, of course, I'm going to be very general, but you have to imagine that once you extract eDNA from eDNA samples, you will find a mix of DNAs of thousands or millions of species, most of them are actually bacteria. And so you have to imagine, of course, there will be many more colors, many more different colors. But if we imagine that the monk seal's DNA is the red dots, then you should have to extract that eDNA. Now then, consider that in eDNA samples, in marine eDNA samples, the marine mammals, so no, we are not talking of monk seals, are about 0.004%. So they are extremely diluted. So what is a qPCR assay? Basically, it's a species-specific assay, as the words say, and you can imagine it works a bit like a magnet, able to selectively detect only the DNA of the target species. So this is what we have been doing. So instead, how does it work in the field? Well, this just briefly to show, we will start by collecting, well, actually a large amount of water, marine water. And the reason why is that I didn't want to lose any signal, and we didn't even know if the method was going to work. So to begin with, we started from a big amount of water, and then we split it into 3 subsamples of 4 liters each, and then each subsample is processed in triplicates. The reason why we do this is because we want to be sure to have reliable results. So, and in fact, is the method reliable? Of course, we started from scratch, so we didn't know exactly where we were going. So it was our desire to be as reliable as we could. So the first things we did was to test the method on the 3 groups of positive controls, where positive controls means that we are handling sample in which we are sure that the monk seal DNA is contained within those samples. So the first one, the very easy positive control, is DNA extracted from the tissues from the monk seal. And of course, if this was not going to work, it means that the strategy wasn't a good one, but it worked fine. So we passed to the following positive control group, which was a sort of an environmental sample, if we want, as it was extracted from biological residual samples from feces and hair of the monk seal collected after the animal left the cave. And we have 12 of these samples, and the the primer, the assay was working fine, although for sure the signal was much fainter compared to the tissue extract. Then we passed to the real, what for us was the real positive control. That means marine water, but in an area where we are sure that seals are around. And in order to do this, we had this collaboration with the agency work, Madeira. Yeah, no, I know Madeira. I want to say the name of the group, and with Rosa Pires. And so they were really good, because we say, well, let's do a blind test, collect a number of samples, like actually collect 8 samples, and we want them to note for each sample how likely, according to their experience and what they know about the seals distribution, we expect to find a positive signal. And so they did, and we didn't know the reply until we did perform the analysis. And of course, we did find in most of them a signal, particularly was strong in one sample, which then we knew was just outside a cave where 8 seals were coming and going all the time. So at this point, we were quite confident, and well, the work could have stopped here really, because my idea was to make available a new method to people studying monk seals. But it happens that for my other projects, I had some access to a double set of Mediterranean eDNA samples. So I want to underline that these samples were not collected looking for monk seals, but they were collected in the Mediterranean anyway. So in these areas, the monk seals present cannot be ruled out. It could happen, although we expect it to be very unusual. So I'm going to show briefly which are these 2 sample sets. One is a sample set of only 12 samples coming from the Pelagic archipelago, which is south of Sicily. So we have Lampedusa, Lampione, and Linosa Island. And the one you can see in the red dots are where we find a strong signal for the presence of the monk seals. Well, it was quite interesting to see they were found quite, I mean, not so close to the coast, with the exception of Lampione. But we also had some positive samples of Lampedusa. But the interesting thing is that these samples were collected in summer 2020, in mid-August and beginning of September. And while we were processing the samples, there had been 3 sightings in the area. And we knew, we found it, but we were saying, well, maybe it's a mistake, maybe we have to repeat the analysis. But in those days, there were some sightings, so a couple of months later. And possibly more extraordinary was the results that we obtained by the analysis of some samples we collect along a ferry route from Livorno to Golfo Aranci. This was a pilot study to see if it's feasible to collect environmental DNA sample from operating ferries. So these samples were collected in 2018 and 2019 over 7 different roads. And we do collect samples in fixed station, which are the one in square, but also whenever we see cetaceans around. So we did some extra sampling just because it's the beginning of this new technique. So we want to match if we find what we see, if we also find with the molecular approach. So it was interesting that we find quite a strong signal in station 1, which if you see, it's quite close to this little island, which is Capraia Island. And that was quite impressive for us because in Capraia Island, there's been a couple of sightings. Here are the dates. Last summer, 2020, in June and in July. So for us, that was very interesting because, as I said, these samples were collected 2 years previously. So this is, well, now I leave the floor to
Okay. So we start to really rely on this method. And what I would like you to understand that now it is very important, the process and actually the idea that is behind the sampling, because sampling, the last positive signal that Elena was mentioning came in open sea by night. And so this is, for me, the first time it is confirmed what I was presuming since many years now. So the seals are most active at night, and this is the time where they go feeding, and they go offshore, okay? So we already are collecting many samples, already did last summer, and she will tell you later on. But in the future, I mean, this is something that must be done in a very well coordinated way, because sampling at night in open ocean is not easy. So in this case, we will rely on ferry boats. And tell us something new about the story of monk seal, because for, let's say, many decades, all the information we gathered from the monk seal comes from observation done in breeding caves. But the life of an animal doesn't end in the breeding action, okay? So we should know, if you want really to protect them, we should know much better what they do, how is their lifestyle. And until now, all things I'm telling you now were my hypothesis. Now, this hypothesis will be the first step to go on and try to see if they are true or not. I mean, they're active at night, as I said, and this comes also, okay, I will tell you later. Now, for the moment, open sea during the night is the first time we are able to monitor and to find results. And I hope we can find much more so that we can tell us where are feeding grounds for monk seals. Let's see the next. The method doesn't tell us numbers. It's true, because it only tells us this species was there, but we cannot say 1, 2, 10, nothing. So how can we reach the numbers? If we plan a coordinated sampling and we have the possibility to have collection done in a chronological simultaneous way in a vast area, whatever signal will be positive will be different group of animals. I'm telling group because to my knowledge, even if the seal is a kind of animal mostly solitary, this is true, but of course, during the breeding season, for example, they tend to concentrate in specific area. So coordinated sampling done in a certain days in a vast area can tell us we have several groups distributed in this way. But if we also provide sampling in frequent sampling in some coastal areas, it doesn't mean to be too much close to the coast. I'm sorry, I have to run. Okay, we can monitor also breeding activity, in my opinion, without having any need to disturb the animal, because if we sample along the coast in autumn, winter, and we have a frequent sampling, let's say 1 a week or every 2 weeks, if we have a signal, intense signal, repetition, this means animals are there breeding. Let's go faster. And there is another possibility that for me is a dream. I already observed many years ago how the seals sleep underwater. They use small caves, completely submerged, and they reach these caves and spend 4 minutes there, more or less, and then come out for a brief time to breathe and then go back. And this behavior lasts from the morning to the afternoon. So it takes hours doing that, because this is one of the way they sleep, actually. And I was able to film this behavior, because this case is in Istria. I was able to place a camera, remote control, and it took 2 years. So it was quite a big task. But anyway, this is to know how he does. But to know if they frequently see these places, we can have eDNA because water inside these places doesn't move too much. So the signal could stay even longer than usual. Okay. Photo traps, are a very popular way of studying seals. I'm not very fan of it. I'm trying to explain that we should use live video control system, meaning that the information should be shared and arrive real time, so that if there is any need to provide protection, we are able to, because we know exactly what's happening. This is what I've been using for many years now. And this was in Istia, for example, a cave, open cave, where people used to go even with a boat. It was not allowed, but they did. But the seal also went there. Of course, sometimes installation can be quite difficult, but it's never impossible. I mean, but most important is the installation should include, or even the most important camera views must be outside. So if we have the view of the outside area, this is how we can provide protection, because if there is any big danger, we can know it in real time and have somebody intervene. But also is okay, back to you.
Very quickly, I just conclude just saying, okay, which are the limitations? So I'm anticipating some of your questions. There are there are limitations, as Lele just said, and so we would never know exactly how many an animal, but also how far away the animal was from the sampling point, or how long ago the actual environmental DNA was released in the environment. So is there then a way in which we can still use in a proficient way the environmental DNA analysis for the study of the monk seals? Well, yes, because as Lele was saying, we could simultaneously sample different places and see what happens. But how can we do this? Of course, in order to do this, we need collaboration. And I just want to give you an example, because last summer we launched this Spot the Monk initiative, which have seen 9 different associations involved in eDNA sample collection. So showing that this is a possible way to follow. And I was really surprised, because it started from a single association being joining us, but actually we were able to collect over 125 samples, and we are processing them, and then we will wait. We have to wait for the next episode to see what we found. But what I want to say, that if the question is where are we going, I think we should join the effort and involving citizen science, because environmental DNA, it's particularly easy to be suitable for citizen science, and then involving the phares, because each of these components gives you a different perspective on the biology. And also, why not, since we're here, involving the marine protected areas, as they are covering another part, which is the most coastal habitat of the monk seal. Sorry for, we have
last word. Okay, the invitation for all of you here and is that we are starting a project as Group of Foca Monaca we call Care for Seals. I mean, I think every country in the Mediterranean should start taking care of seals, because it is the time. The seals are coming back, and we should be prepared, not being surprised even when they show up, but having the right attitude, because this is what will happen. At least this is our hope. Okay?
Thank you very much. Indeed, le retour de phoques moines en Méditerranée est bien noté dans le cadre de la Convention de Barcelone. And I should thank you for this innovative methodology that, in my opinion, should require a consensus between the Mediterranean experts and need collaboration. So maybe it should be more discussed among, yes, scientists. Also, I have to say that the camera trap is among the methodology that is retained with the protocol of the Barcelona Convention to do for the monitoring of the monk seal. And hopefully with the new project, we will do this in real time to have camera in the, yes, we will try to use this. We will discuss this later on, thank you. So I invite Zafer for your presentation.
Thank you for the invitation. Actually, we are doing exactly the same things. I'm going to show you. Maybe in some steps you are a little further ahead. In some steps we are a little further ahead. So in Gökova Bay MPA, it is almost 250 kilometers of coastline we have, over 1,000 square kilometers of MPA, where there is no cities, no towns, nobody almost, just, you know, sailors and fishers. We thought that at the beginning there are so many caves for their breeding. Of course, there are small, tiny caves that can rest underwater or at the surface, but exactly for breeding, you see the MPA there? This is the huge MPA, and the coastline is all cliffs and rocks. There are only 3 breeding caves. And since this is the fault line, entire Gökova Bay, northern and southern coast, more than 6 very nice caves collapsed after the earthquakes. So they can only have 3 breeding caves. This is one of them. In one of the caves we found right over on the, you know, middle, that's a beautiful cave, but there is no dry ledge. I'm a civil engineer too. So my civil engineering virtues just came out. I decided to build a dry ledge over there. So we got the permission from Ministry of Environment. You see the sizes of the interior of the cave. So this is a very well protected pool, and interior is there, and it's almost this high, you know, water, almost 1.20 meters. And we built sand and cement bags, and we completed. And then just 3 months later, seals start using the cave. And now we have a lot of individuals are coming, not one. Male, female. So that shows us they need an habitat. There is not enough caves for monk seals. So whatever the rehabilitation we can do for them, we decided to do it because they need that. And these are different individuals in the same rehabilitation cave. So this is the first rehabilitation example in Mediterranean that we converted a cave into a kind of, you know, suitable dry ledge so they can use it. And the second thing is the real-time camera. We already set it up in one of our caves. This is 4K cameras with a solar panel. So there are 4 computers inside, 2 GSM transmitters, Wi-Fi, big batteries for night, you know, recordings. And of course, depending on the cave, it cost us $15,000 to $20,000 each system. And there is also one pole with a camera that could see the whole area. It has a zoom property, so you can see also the human presence or any threats coming from in other sources. And these are the solar panels, as you see. And the problem is, what happens if there is no Wi-Fi? Because we have been watching those caves 24 hours methodology. And the second question is, who is going to watch all those videos 24 hours? So even if there is no Wi-Fi or cut-off Wi-Fi, the system records 62 days, and after 62 days, it, you know, records on over the old recordings. So if there's no Wi-Fi, we can go there, just change the hard drives because they are all portable. We can take the existing one and put the new ones. And this is a video. Can you show the video? So just take a look at the time is 2:54 at night. There is no light. These are infrared cameras. These are 4K cameras, very high resolution. So the advantages, we can easily identify individuals from their scratch, from their patterns and everything, and from their other behaviors. And in the long term, this is so cost efficient. We don't need to go to caves over a year. So this cave's there, with the continuous recording over a year. Nobody needs to go there. Nobody needs to disturb the animal. And the second thing is we are going to do the eDNA sampling over the rugs. So at least we know when the seals left the cave, we then go inside. And another thing is the recordings are because we have 5 caves. And we are about to set up the same system in all the other 5 caves. And at the same time, we can tell you how many monk seals exactly living in the Gökova Bay. And right now, we can differentiate 9 individuals within the caves. Maybe in the next, when we set it up all the other camera system, there will be more. Okay, so who is going to watch all these videos? Because we also have similar system underwater for sandbar sharks in Gökova. So we work with Lodestar company in Silicon Valley in California. They are just developing artificial intelligence visual systems. So all we need to send them 20 or 30 pictures of sandbar sharks from different angles. So they train the detector like in the same way in the monk seal. That's why I put that picture, because monk seals are right on the corner and the mother is just on the, out of the picture. So this software is working on the cameras itself in the real time, just recognizes the monk seals. So this 0.85 means there is a monk seal 0.85% sure, and there's a monk seal 0.98% sure. And it just records the time monk seals are in the cave and gives us an Excel sheet daily. So nobody needs to watch all the video sessions. We just every day check the Excel sheets at what time monk seal detections happened. So we just, fast forward, just see those sequences and see whether it's a pop or, mom. And in this cave, as a record, in last February, we had 7 monk seals, 2 of them pop. So this gives us a great chance to, without allocating, without recruiting, without employing anybody, the artificial intelligence and detector is continuously just giving the monk seal and also shark, presence, because monk seals are slow. The detector could easily figure out where the monk seal come in, but sharks are quite fast. So it's just coming and zipping in front of the camera less than a second. So this is amazing program. So the more picture and video you load the software, the success of spotting the camera and the software is getting better. The more monk seal the camera is recording, the artificial intelligence detector just training itself more. So you are not doing anything. The system is getting better and better as they notice more monk seals. So in this respect, we are working with Minister of Environment and Urbanization for sure to get all the permissions and technology and software companies and other organizations working on monk seals, like you are in this room and all, in Greece and Cyprus. So this is the methodologies we have been using. And now we have extended our, marine protected areas over another 700 kilometers. So we have 17 caves like this. In 3 years period, we have to set up this similar system. And right now we are working with a company. They will set up as a pole, because this Wi-Fi thing is not trustable all the time. So we will set up a kind of big antenna there. It's going to be like a TV broadcasting. So it's going, everybody from all over the world could watch the caves or the sharks if he could set up this antenna on the highest point of the mountain in the next 3 months. Thank you.
I think that Turkey is among the success story of the monitoring of the monk seal in the Mediterranean. Okay, so maybe la présentation d'après, le 4, we should present the context and after the
Thank you. Thank you, and hello, everyone. Thanks for giving me the opportunity of presenting this initiative. My name is Auriane from the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation and coordinator of the Monks Hill Alliance. I'm going to be speaking in French. It's nice sometimes to speak your own language since we have translation. Alors, moi, j'ai eu l'occasion de voir un seul phoque moine, donc je ne suis pas encore au niveau de Emanuele sur les observations. Mais bon, on espère qu'avec le retour du phoque moine, on pourra les voir plus souvent. Comme ça a été rappelé, on voit en effet une augmentation des populations de phoques moines, et c'est grâce au travail des acteurs, dont parmi vous, voilà, il y en a certains qui sont dans la salle, des acteurs des ONG, des acteurs institutionnels, des organisations de recherche qui permettent de collecter les données sur l'espèce. Mais on remarque aussi deux obstacles principaux, et ça a d'ailleurs été rappelé plusieurs fois lors du forum, notamment en ouverture, sur le manque de collaboration et de coordination des actions et un manque de financement durable qui fait d'ailleurs partie des recommandations qui sont dans la feuille de route AMP. Face à cela, 5 fondations, que sont les fondations Prince Albert II de Monaco, Segré, Mava, Thalassa et Santa Devota, ont décidé de travailler ensemble pour créer cette Monks Hill Alliance et améliorer l'efficacité de nos soutiens sur les différents projets. Alors, chacune d'entre nous financions déjà des actions de conservation de l'espèce, donc on avait une connaissance de certains acteurs, mais le fait de se coordonner ensemble permettait d'avoir une vision globale et d'améliorer l'impact de nos soutiens. On avait eu plusieurs occasions d'organiser des réunions d'acteurs pour essayer de comprendre la situation générale et entendre leurs préoccupations locales et les priorités d'action. Donc, l'objectif de notre alliance, comme je l'ai dit, c'est de soutenir des projets de conservation de l'espèce et de son habitat. L'intérêt pour nous, bailleurs de fonds, c'est que quand on finance un projet, on cherche le best value for money. Et donc, on souhaite, en communiquant entre nous, en échangeant l'expérience et l'information, éviter des doublons dans les activités qui sont mises en œuvre, comme on peut le voir aujourd'hui. On peut aussi, en lançant des appels à projets que l'on design nous-mêmes ensemble, ça permet d'aligner nos stratégies et de pouvoir avoir un impact sur toute la zone, tout l'habitat du phoque moine, tout en conservant nos propres stratégies et nos zones d'intervention que l'on peut avoir qui peuvent être différentes. Et puis, l'approche, on a parlé de l'approche écosystémique, le choix aussi de travailler sur une espèce comme le phoque moine, c'est vrai qu'il y a une histoire à raconter, c'est une espèce qui attire aussi d'autres partenaires, donc c'est aussi une facilité, en tout cas c'est plus facile de toucher les bailleurs de fonds ou les donateurs aussi pour à la fois avoir un impact sur l'espèce mais aussi sur son habitat. Et l'intérêt pour les porteurs de projets, déjà c'est une visibilité de savoir qu'on est un groupe de fondations qui sommes dédiés à la conservation de l'espèce. Par ailleurs, et ça aussi on l'a entendu plusieurs fois, la question du cofinancement, c'est pas toujours évident, surtout pour les petites organisations, de trouver des cofinancements. Comme on est une alliance de cofinanceurs, lors de nos premiers appels à projets, on n'a pas demandé comme une condition pour pouvoir candidater d'avoir un cofinancement. Donc ça facilite quand même la chose pour les porteurs de projets. Et puis, on facilite la collaboration, l'échange d'informations et donc la coordination entre les différents projets. Donc nos actions, vous l'aurez compris, on soutient des projets de conservation de l'espèce. Il est important de rappeler que quand on a lancé l'Alliance, donc en 2019, on a d'abord mandaté 2 consultants, et je vois que Philippe Robert est ici, pour avoir une bonne vision, un état des lieux de tous les acteurs qui travaillent sur l'espèce de près ou du loin, savoir quelles sont les activités qu'ils mènent, est-ce qu'ils font du suivi de population, quel type de données ils peuvent avoir, etc. Donc avoir vraiment une overview de ce qui se passe dans le monde du phoque moine. Et puis, on a lancé en 2020 2 appels à projets, tenant compte bien sûr des cadres institutionnels existants, Convention de Barcelone, Convention de Bonn, les plans d'action nationaux, même s'ils ne sont pas forcément adoptés officiellement par les États. Mais on se base bien sûr sur les cadres qui existent. Et donc, on a sélectionné ensemble 8 projets pour un soutien total de plus de 2,7 millions d'euros sur la période 2021-2024. Et bon, j'ai ressorti le chiffre sur le montant qui était dédié directement à des AMP pour le forum. Donc, on finance à travers 2 projets le parc marin d'Alonissos et de Cap-Blanc. Donc, c'est des fonds qui vont directement à la surveillance des aires marines. Après, il peut y avoir des actions qui ont lieu ponctuellement, notamment le suivi de phoques qui sont dans d'autres AMP, mais c'est pas, voilà, c'était juste pour donner une idée de l'investissement sur les AMP. Je disais tout à l'heure qu'on cherche aussi à inciter à la collaboration et au partage d'expériences des acteurs. Donc, au niveau des projets que l'on soutient, on a créé un comité de coordination pour assurer l'échange des différents partenaires au cours de la mise en œuvre des actions et afin qu'ils puissent trouver des synergies et éviter encore une fois parfois les doublons que l'on peut remarquer. Actuellement, alors je ne peux pas faire d'annonce officielle aujourd'hui, mais on travaille actuellement donc avec les membres de l'Alliance sur l'élaboration d'un prochain appel à projet. Autre action, on essaye de faire entendre la voix des acteurs de terrain, des ONG, au niveau politique ou institutionnel. Pour donner un exemple, la MSA soutient actuellement un projet mené par Tethys Research Institute en mer Ionienne, à Formicula, qui est un îlot qui fait partie des Special Area of Conservation, établi par le gouvernement grec, dont on sait qu'actuellement, il y a le processus d'élaboration des plans de gestion, mais qui peut prendre un certain temps. Donc, Tethys a fait appel à nous pour soutenir leur démarche, pour appeler le gouvernement à mettre en place des mesures de protection de la zone avant la prochaine période touristique, puisqu'il y a une forte pression touristique avec des bateaux privés qui arrivent dans la zone. Et comme l'information sur le fait qu'il y ait des phoques moines là-bas se diffuse, il y a de plus en plus d'interactions sur la zone. Donc, on va essayer de les soutenir et on fera appel d'ailleurs à nos partenaires grecs pour soutenir cet appel-là. Dernière chose, même si ce n'est pas une action principale, on essaie de communiquer. Alors, aujourd'hui, pas tellement encore avec le grand public. On a essayé de sensibiliser surtout les bailleurs de fonds et les donateurs. Par exemple, lors du congrès UICN, où on a organisé une petite exposition sur la MSA et les travaux de nos partenaires que l'on soutient. Donc, on essaye d'agrandir l'Alliance et de faire venir avec nous d'autres bailleurs. Et puis, bon, ça c'est juste pour vous dire que on lance pour l'année prochaine le site qui sera dédié et donc où vous pourrez trouver toutes les informations sur nos prochains appels et les activités différentes qui seront menées par l'Alliance. Je vous remercie.
Merci, Auriane. Tout à fait, je crois que l'Alliance arrive à temps pour soutenir le retour de Manxil en Méditerranée. C'est très important d'avoir le financement parce que les conventions, les programmes, les stratégies sont très bien élaborées, discutées, mais ce que manquait, c'était toujours le financement pour mettre en œuvre ces stratégies, ces actions, surtout que, comme vous avez vu, l'espèce, c'est-à-dire le monitoring, a besoin beaucoup de financement et le terrain pour mettre en évidence leur présence sur le terrain. Voilà, moi je passe maintenant à ma présentation qui est un nouveau projet qui démarrera bientôt grâce à un financement qu'on aura de la part de le Manxil Alliance, que je remercie. Et le projet, j'ai préparé ma présentation en anglais, donc je vais parler en anglais. So the project is the MED Manxil project, and it will be focus the enhancing knowledge and awareness on monk seal in the Mediterranean, mainly in the South Mediterranean country and some country from the north. In fact, the idea of this project began before that. We know that there will be a financial. So we start receiving information about sighting of monk seal in area like Albania, Egypt, Israel, Croatia, Italy, Libya, and Lebanon through the reporting, the national reporting of our focal point, because they have to do this reporting each 2 years to the SPARAC. So, and also, as you may know, we prepared a regional strategy for the conservation of monk seal to complement the action plan, which has been adopted years ago. So in 2013, we proposed a strategy, a Mediterranean strategy with concrete action for the high-level density presence of the species and for the country where there are low density presence of the species. And the idea is to look for fund to put this strategy, which has been also updated recently. And in 2018, during the World Marine Mammal Conference, we organized a dedicated workshop for the low density country representative to discuss how we can improve the monitoring and the collection of data about the monk seal. We did the workshop, we have the conclusion, we have the right people, the discussion with the country, with the focal point, and we have the Monk Seal Alliance that launched the call, and we took opportunity and submit our proposal that we discussed during a year and a half. But now we succeed to have this project that will be launched at December by tomorrow, after tomorrow, and we will sign with my director, who is here, Mr. Khalil Ataya, the agreement. So the proposed country are Albania, Algeria, Egypt, Italy, Lebanon, Libya, Morocco, Syria, Tunisia. Maybe I have to say that we will work with this country since already there are other projects that targeted the country where the species is present in high level, high number. And of course, the idea of this project is to establish a long-term monitoring program based on standardized protocol. And as I said, this protocol already prepared within the ICAP IMAP, but we will now test its implementation and maybe adapted it to the specificity of each of these countries. So there will be 5 main activity within this project. Of course, coordination that will be assisted by a steering committee, and member of the ongoing project funded by the Monk Seal will be represented on this steering committee of the project. And the coordination will be done by the SPARAC. We will start by reinforced capacity of the representative of the country, beneficiary of this project, to work on the implementation of the protocol. And the idea is really to have this capacity building training in the country where the species is there and well monitored. After each of these trained people will do the monitoring in their area to explore new area, to identify suitable habitat for the species. Also, within this project, we will focus activity on public awareness, because we know that by doing some awareness and survey with the fishermen and the user of sea, maybe we can have some information about the sighting of the species. And here we will launch a proposal to have a good program and to select good awareness program at the national and even local level in each of these beneficiary country. And of course, by the end of this project, we will try to collect the data, analyze this data, and put it accessible to the scientific community in order to prepare the appropriate conservation measure to be presented to the main stakeholder of each of these countries. So this is the main activity that will be implemented through this new project. And I would like to thank you for your attention. So I think we finish with the presentation, and maybe we can now pass to the, if you have any question for any or comment about the presentation that has been done here. Otherwise, I will. Est-ce qu'on peut revenir à la présentation de la session, le fichier, where there is some recommendation. So I don't know if there is any online question. Yes. I don't know.
Thank you for all the speakers. I would like to start from the end, the last presentation by Lobna. Very happy as a conservation person from Libya to see this good news for coming back of the activity for Monk Seal Action Plan, and also the Monk Seal Alliance as a new acting organization in the region. I would prefer that column where you said public awareness, that we should also emphasize on citizen science, because I was involved in monk seal surveys in Libya since 2003 and 2006 and 2009, where we are looking for caves and others with the support of RAXPA and ISPRA in Italy. And yes, we need awareness, but at the same time, we need a directed awareness to a specific class of the society, which are fishermen and also other sea users, to report back to us. It's not only to tell them that there is a monk seal, which is a surprise in most of the cases. Oh, this is only in the polar areas. Lots of people doesn't know that there is a monk seal. That's a good to know, but also to have a two-way message to use the funds of this project to set up somehow a citizen science program to help us to collect data wherever it's possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdelmoula. I confirm that it will be nothing. It is already planned for this. It will be developed. So in collaboration with any new idea about the awareness. Yes, Philippe.
Ok, merci. Philippe Robert. Donc, moi, j'ai une ou deux questions, notamment sur la dernière présentation. Je trouve que c'est une très bonne idée, ce projet que vous avez au niveau du CARASP. Je trouve que ça serait intéressant aussi, je ne comprends pas pourquoi il n'y a pas la Grèce et la Turquie qui sont impliquées dans tous les pays, parce qu'il y a quand même une expérience ancienne, très ancienne, dans ces deux pays sur la connaissance et la gestion des populations du phoque. Ça date de plus de 50 ans, hein, donc il y a longtemps qu'on travaille sur le phoque. Hein. Et deuxièmement, je voulais savoir, la formation qui va avoir lieu dans votre projet sera, nous, dans l'étude qui a été mentionnée par la MSA, on note bien qu'il y a un besoin de formation et de partage de données, de connaissances. Donc, je voulais savoir qui seront les formateurs de ces différentes structures dans tous les pays partenaires du projet? Est-ce que ça sera les gens qui travaillent sur le Cap Blanc? Est-ce que ça sera les gens de Madère? Est-ce que ça sera les gens de Grèce, de Turquie, tous, peu importe? Enfin voilà, ce serait intéressant de savoir parce qu'il y a, quand on a fait l'étude là pour la MSA, on s'est rendu compte qu'il y avait vraiment beaucoup de travaux qui avaient été faits, chacun dans son coin, de très belles réalisations. Et on a noté que c'était un petit peu dommage qu'il n'y ait pas vraiment une harmonisation entre tous, qu'il n'y ait pas vraiment une coordination, mais je crois que c'est en train de se mettre en place, et donc ça, c'est tant mieux. Et enfin, je voudrais juste dire que le nombre d'individus, c'est important de le savoir, mais ce qui est encore plus important à nos yeux, en tant que gestionnaire, c'est de voir comment est l'évolution de la population. Même on n'est pas à 10 individus près. Ce qui compte, c'est de savoir si la population monte ou si elle descend. Je crois que c'est surtout ça le problème. Et pour finir, juste nous avons identifié des difficultés, des problèmes sur les populations des phoques, le risque de maladie quand il y a des concentrations un peu lourdes, comme on l'a vu déjà au Cap Blanc, l'écroulement des grottes, notre ami de Turquie en a parlé, donc l'écroulement des grottes, ça c'est capital et on le voit sur le Cap Blanc, et ensuite effectivement les problèmes d'harmonisation, les problèmes de financement. Et bien sûr, l'impact des activités humaines à la fois sur l'habitat et à la fois sur les espèces directes ou indirectes. Merci.
Ok, merci. Pour la question, je crois, pour la partie Grèce et Turquie, c'était une décision de Monaco Alliance. C'est-à-dire parce qu'il y a deux cols. Pour le col A, pour les pays où il y a la présence.
Ouais, j'ai pas mentionné le détail en fait dans les appels. Alors on a fait dans les deux appels qu'on a fait, on a fait un premier appel qui était sur les pays du groupe A finalement où il y a les populations qui se reproduisent. Donc bien sûr Grèce, Chypre, Turquie, Madère et Cap Blanc, si j'en oublie pas. Et le deuxième appel était ouvert plus à des projets collaboratifs régionaux comme donc, celui du SPARAC et celui de l'USN Med qui travaille avec Grèce, Chypre, Turquie et le Liban, pardon. Donc là, pour but, Israël, pardon, merci. Et le but, c'était d'encourager la collaboration, puisqu'on sait très bien que l'espèce se déplace et que donc sans collaboration, la conservation ne peut pas être efficace. Donc il y avait bien ces deux, bien sûr, les deux, on va dire, zones étaient ciblées via deux appels différents.
L'échange d'informations, ça va être fait à travers le steering committee, le comité de pilotage de notre projet, et c'est les représentants, on aura des représentants d'autres projets. Et pour la question de formation, moi j'ai dit qu'on a pris 1 an et demi à discuter avec le Monaco Alliance et on a tenu compte de toutes les études qui ont été faites pour bien, c'est-à-dire préparer les activités et les actions. C'est-à-dire les formations vont être faites en se basant sur des bonnes, c'est-à-dire ça va être, comme j'ai dit, rien n'est planifié pour le moment. Ça va être, on va faire des appels pour avoir des programmes de formation qu'on choisira en collaboration avec le Steering Committee, avec le Monaco Alliance. Donc, rien n'est ficelé pour le moment. Tout va être lancé et sélectionné pour faire les formations. Ce qui est sûr, c'est ce qui vont être faites dans ces pays. Donc, pour voir, c'est-à-dire la méthodologie et tout ça. Et par la suite aussi, il y aura la formation au niveau national. C'est-à-dire, on va former pour avoir des formateurs qui reviennent et faire la formation au niveau de leur pays. Voilà. C'est qui? Oui.
Donc, nous avons 2 commentaires sur le chat. Le premier de M. Philippe Théou de l'UNEP MAP. Donc, je cite, « Je confirme l'importance de la communication pêcheurs-plaisanciers vers les acteurs de la conservation des phoques moines. En Albanie, la très grande majorité des dernières données disponibles sur les phoques proviennent d'observations faites par des pêcheurs et plaisanciers. » Deuxième remarque par mademoiselle Sofia Bonicalsa du groupe Phoca Monaco. Je suis d'accord, la récolte de dates avec l'ADN environnemental permet d'utiliser la science participative. N'importe qui peut collecter des données. Merci.
Okay. Merci. Vous le donnez.
I don't know if I'm wrong, but there were also other countries missing. Croatia, I didn't see, Montenegro, and Spain. You have a special reason for that? And also, following what the friend said before, citizen science, it is really something that can be used also to get people involved. So the public awareness through people involvement, because if they feel they are in line doing something, they will participate and they will be more actively collaborating. And okay, and there's many things to say, but I think we will have other way to discuss this, because even this search for seals, search for pup, it is something that must be discussed, because the survey done by specialists should also follow specific rules that should be discussed openly. Because what I see up to now, for example, is something that I don't agree. It has been done even recently. So I hope there will be a table for technical people to be around and say each one his own point of view, okay?
Hello. I would like to ask one question. Is it possible to, you know, you said this eDNA, you don't know the lifetime of it, and it depends on lots of different conditions. But is there a way at least to say within this time scale, like with the studies you are doing? Because I think that will help a lot, especially a project like the area where they're not exactly known when and where. I think a combination of eDNA with your project would be really, really valuable. But the time issue, you know, the time estimation would be really helpful, because there must be some economic aspect of it as well. So, you know, the advantage and disadvantage and economy of it would be effective. But I think it's a really big opportunity in future if that project can be combined with eDNA. All of them, but especially.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes, so is it true that we don't know exactly how long it lasts in the water, but there are more and more studies coming out, and of course it depends also from the type of animals. But I think that marine mammals in general, being big animals, they shed big pieces of skin, so there are chances that they may last a bit longer, but I will always remain in the frame of 2-3 days, so no longer. But also you have to take into account the currents, because they, of course, these particles, they travel with the currents, so that is another point. But you know, I think that our method, it's best, I mean, perform better in where we don't know if seals are around. So in that area, it might be valuable even just to know that sometimes recently has been passing through the area.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Donc, pour être conforme avec l'agenda, il y a
Yes, just wanting to answer Emanuele's question on the other countries which were not included. I didn't, of course, I didn't present the various projects that we selected, and just for information, we left some brochures outside, so you have some details. But Croatia and Montenegro are part of a project which is led by Euronature to prepare the countries of the Eastern Adriatic for the return of the monk seal, if we may say so. So they're working on habitat mapping, creating a roadmap for the region. And also there is some aspect of, let's say, citizen science from the Rescue Info Network, which is also used quite a lot in Greece as well. So just to answer on those aspects.
Merci. Donc, pour être conforme avec l'agenda proposé pour cette session, on doit voir maintenant les recommandations. Et j'invite Zek pour...
Yeah, I would like to, yes, I would like to talk about recommendations now. And in 3.3 and 3.4, lots of things given if you broaden the sentence over there, improve knowledge via citizen science, facilitate bottom-up management. And then we are on the second one, Barcelona Convention, all those social and ecological monitoring methods we are talking about. Then in this case, we need something unified, all those things, a kind of application for citizens and for researchers or whoever, wherever they see any monk seal with the pictures proving like that, they can apply, just upload a kind of application. And I suggest Monk Seal Alliance could harness something like this, develop an application, whoever, wherever in the Mediterranean could see any monk seal, just upload it with a picture and the coordinates. So then you can be much, aware of the fact that, okay, the animal could be seen, beyond the range that everybody, feels like, okay, there is no monk seal in, let's say, Spain or France. Then we could see that, okay, they are going. So how could we get this citizen data? Who is going to get this citizen data and unify this? Maybe we need an application. Everybody can upload the, picture where they see a monk seal. And according to our experiences, we don't believe that their populations are increasing because their range is more than 250 kilometers in a day. And one monk seal we released in Gökova in the evening, actually the next morning was in the Lindos, south of Rhodos, which is 240 kilometers. If their range is so high, the monk seal I can see in the morning in Turkey, you can see in the Croatia in the next morning. This doesn't mean that there are seals in Croatia, but it's just going and coming back probably. We don't know this yet. So that's why we need this application that everybody can upload any unexpected spotting monk seals in the Mediterranean. Then we could have better, combine all this citizen data and also researchers' data.
There is a big issue now.
Yes, tracking.
So first of all, I would like to stress the importance of involving local communities. But besides that, I'm quite afraid, and I would not encourage people to take pictures of seals. The seals spend most of their life underwater. So the opportunity to see seals is always very limited, and basically mostly limited or to the area where they breathe. They have pups, okay? Just to let you know that there is another field, ornithology, in which this thing is already applied. There is a rule, at least in Italy, that no picture of birds at nest should be published. So I would suggest no picture at seal in cave should be published. And if some does it, this should be somehow appointed, okay? Expecting to get information about seal population from picture taken like this, it is not for me a reliable expectation. And beside that, speaking about what is the situation, increasing population or not, believe me, this is a predator. The number of seal is just the one they should be, according to what they have for their feeding. So if you want to help seals to increase numbers, we just protect places and let fish grow, because they will be the first one to know the fish available there. And before we spot them, they're already there, maybe since some years, because it's their life. They move around a lot, it's true. And so if we want to have increasing number, there is no use to get them more pups in a cave, because if the number, if the availability of food is that, more seals born, they will kill each other. This is what the animals do, okay? The number is the right one. Unless there is another problem with the pollution and with disease, of course, this can be a problem as well. But we are already, even if we don't know that, with the network of marine protected area, we are already doing a good job for the seals. And this is probably the reason why they're probably moving from the pristine area to go back to the original area, because they find food. And the food for a predator is the first problem. And the availability of cave or things like that, they will manage to do themselves. earthquakes has always been in the earth, and the Mediterranean has seen water level rising up and going down. So they have their own instruments to adapt to the environment, believe me.
Merci, Emanuele. Merci.
I would like to answer your taking picture in the caves. I don't know the other countries. According to Turkish environmental law, no one can approach any marine cave in Turkish Mediterranean coast, just to be safe, if there's a probability that monk seals inside. So in Turkish, there is no such, opportunity for people. I know, it's in the old times, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, je crois qu'il y a autre commentaire ou question au niveau de chat.
Yes. There is another question from Sofia from the Grupo Phoque Monaco. And she asked, just curiosity to anyone, why nobody is using telemetry to study monk seals movements?
Putting a telemetry on a monk seal has been tried before. The only methodology and only technology is the device is 15 centimeter. You can glue to the neck with an antenna, but there is a big possibility of the seal being entangled with the fishing nets. And there are a couple of cases like this in Greece, after they put a telemetry and the animals were drawn in the fishing nets entangled with the antenna. And after 6 months, when the October comes, they change their furs. This is, the device is eventually gonna drop. So, there are a couple of examples, so we know that their range is too high. So, and also, to put a telemetry, you have to sedate the animal. If you sedate the animal and if he escapes to the water, she's going to, or he's going to drown below there. So that's dangerous methodology not to do that.
De toute façon, comme j'ai dit, c'est-à-dire la question de suivi de phoque moine a été largement discutée pour avoir le protocole. Vous pouvez, c'est-à-dire voir le protocole qui a été proposé dans le cadre de IMAP et CAP. Parce que là aussi, je me rappelle que les méthodes de surveillance a été très, très, très bien discutées avec les experts. Peut-être là, je crois qu'on a, si on est d'accord avec ces recommandations, avec l'amendement que vous avez proposé, on peut accepter ces deux recommandations et les passer pour le MPA Roadmap. So, c'est ça, c'est-à-dire maintenant, on a besoin, si ces deux recommandations sont bien acceptées par les... OK, très bien. Donc, je crois que je peux clôturer la session. Donc, je vous remercie pour votre participation. Je remercie les gens qui ont été aussi en ligne pour votre active participation. Je remercie aussi les interprètes, l'appui technique et à la prochaine. Merci beaucoup.